Imagine waking up 1 year from now and realizing your life has completely changed, not because you made one huge decision, but because you repeated one tiny action every day. That is the core idea of Atomic Habits by James Clear. Big results don't come from radical overnight transformations. They come from small behaviors that compound quietly until they become impossible to ignore. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. We crave fast progress. We start strong, expect quick results, and when the results don't show up immediately, we assume it is not working and we quit. But habits work like compound interest. In the beginning, the change is so small that it feels pointless. Then, after enough repetition, the curve rises and the outcome looks dramatic. The difference is not talent or luck. The difference is consistency. James Clear explains that getting better by just 1% each day may sound insignificant, but it becomes powerful over time. A 1% improvement is not about perfection. It is about direction and repetition. A short walk, one page of reading, one healthy meal choice, one focused work session. Each one seems small, but together they build momentum. And momentum is what most people are missing. A key message early in the book is that habits are the real foundation of your life. Your outcomes are not mainly shaped by your goals. They are shaped by the systems you follow every day. Two people can have the same goal, but get completely different results because their daily systems are different. Goals set a direction, but systems create progress. This is why focusing only on goals can be frustrating. Goals are about the finish line. Systems are about the process. If you only look at the finish line, you will feel discouraged when progress is slow. But when you focus on the process, you can win today. You can keep your promise today. And that is how change becomes real. Then the book moves into something even deeper: identity. James Clear argues that the most lasting change is not outcome-based. It is identity-based. Many people try to change by saying, "I want to lose weight, I want to stop procrastinating, I want to be disciplined." But they remain the same person inside, fighting themselves every day. Real change happens when you shift from what you want to achieve to who you want to become. Every habit is a vote for the type of person you want to be. When you read a page, you are casting a vote for being a reader. When you train for 5 minutes, you are casting a vote for being someone who takes care of their body. When you sit down and work for 10 minutes, you are casting a vote for being focused and reliable. You do not need to win every vote, but you need to keep voting in the right direction. This is the secret that removes pressure. You are not trying to transform your entire life in one day. You are building evidence. You are becoming the kind of person who does the right thing consistently. Small actions are not just actions, they are proof, and proof changes how you see yourself. The book describes 3 levels of change. The first level is outcomes, what you get. The second is processes, what you do. The third is identity, what you believe about yourself. Most people start with outcomes, but lasting change starts with identity. Instead of saying, "I want to run a marathon," ask, "What would a runner do today?" Instead of saying, "I want to write a book," ask, "What would a writer do today?" Then do the smallest version of that behavior. This matters because behavior that matches your identity is easier to sustain. If you see yourself as a disciplined person, discipline becomes normal. If you see yourself as someone who keeps promises, you do not negotiate with yourself every day. You act in alignment with who you believe you are. Atomic Habits also teaches that habits should be small enough to survive your worst days. People fail because they start too big. They try to read an hour a day, train every morning, change everything at once. That works for a short burst, then reality hits. The smarter approach is to start so small it feels almost too easy, because the goal at first is not intensity. The goal is consistency. A habit that is easy to start is a habit you can repeat, and a habit you repeat becomes part of your identity. Over time, once the identity is strong, the habit can grow naturally. But if you start with something heavy, you will rely on motivation, and motivation will eventually disappear. So the foundation of this book is simple and powerful. Do not chase massive change. Build tiny habits that you can repeat. Focus on systems, not goals. Focus on identity, not just outcomes. Each small action is a vote for your future self. And if you keep casting those votes, your life will change. Quietly, steadily. To change your habits, you first need to understand how a habit is built inside your brain. James Clear explains that a habit is not a random behavior. It is a loop your mind learns because it solves a problem and gives you a reward. Your brain is designed to save energy, so when it finds an action that brings relief, pleasure, or comfort, it tries to automate it. That is why you sometimes reach for your phone without thinking, snack when you are not hungry, or procrastinate even when you care about the goal. The habit is a learned shortcut. The habit loop has 4 steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. These 4 steps are the engine behind every habit you have, good or bad. If you can recognize these steps, you can build better habits and break the harmful ones in a smarter way, not just by willpower. The cue is the trigger that tells your brain to start a behavior. It can be a time of day, a location, an emotion, a person, or an event. You wake up and see your phone. You feel bored for 2 seconds. You finish work and walk into your kitchen. You feel stressed after a message. Each of these can become a cue. The cue does not force you to act, but it gets your attention and signals that something is about to happen. Next comes the craving. This is important because you do not usually crave the habit itself. You crave the change in how you feel. You do not crave scrolling, you crave distraction or entertainment. You do not crave cigarettes, you crave calm or relief. You do not crave junk food, you crave comfort or a quick hit of pleasure. The craving is the motivational force. Without craving, you do not act. This is why many good habits are hard at first. The reward is delayed, so the craving is weak. Then comes the response. The response is the actual action you take. You open the app, you eat the snack, you smoke, you skip the workout, or you sit down and write. Whether the response happens depends on 2 things: how motivated you are and how hard the action is. If the action is too difficult, you will not do it, even if you want the result. This is why making habits easier is not laziness, it is strategy. Finally comes the reward. The reward is the benefit you get from the behavior. It could be pleasure, relief, comfort, social approval, or a sense of progress. Rewards teach your brain what is worth repeating. If the reward feels good, your brain remembers the loop and wants to run it again. This is why bad habits are so powerful. They often give immediate rewards. Good habits often give delayed rewards, so your brain struggles to stay interested at first. After explaining the 4 steps, James Clear turns them into a practical framework called the 4 laws of behavior change. These laws show you exactly how to build good habits and how to break bad ones. The first law is make it obvious. Most of your habits happen with little awareness. If you want to change, you must see what you are actually doing. A simple tool is to write down your typical daily behaviors and label them as good, bad, or neutral. The point is not to judge yourself. The point is to become aware. Once you see the pattern, you can change it. Then you use a very powerful method called implementation intentions. Instead of saying, "I will read more," you say when and where you will do it. For example, after dinner at 8 p.m., I will read 2 pages on the couch. The more specific you are, the easier it is for your brain to start the habit. A second method is habit stacking. You link a new habit to an existing habit. After I brush my teeth, I will do 10 push-ups. After I make coffee, I will write 1 sentence. Your current habits become cues for new habits. The second law is make it attractive. Your brain repeats what it finds appealing. If you want a habit to stick, you need to increase its attractiveness. One way is temptation bundling. You pair something you want with something you need. For example, I will listen to my favorite podcast only while walking. I will watch a show only after I finish a work session. This makes the good habit feel more rewarding in the moment. The third law is make it easy. The most important idea here is reduce friction. People think they fail because they lack discipline, but often they fail because the habit is too hard to start. So you design your environment to remove barriers. Put the book on your pillow. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Prepare healthy food in advance. And for bad habits, increase friction. Put your phone in another room. Delete distracting apps. Turn off notifications. Add steps between you and the habit you want to break. James Clear also introduces the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, scale it down to something that takes 2 minutes or less. Instead of read every night, become the kind of person who opens the book. Instead of workout every day, become the kind of person who puts on workout clothes. The point is not the 2 minutes. The point is becoming consistent at starting. Once starting is automatic, you can expand. The fourth law is make it satisfying. Your brain wants immediate satisfaction. Since good habits often pay off later, you need a small reward now. Tracking your habit with a simple check mark can create a satisfying feeling of progress. Seeing a streak helps you keep going. But the goal is not perfection. The goal is momentum. To break a bad habit, you reverse the laws. Make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it difficult, and make it unsatisfying. You remove the cues, change the story you tell yourself about the habit, increase the friction, and add an immediate cost. This is the heart of the book's method. Do not rely on motivation alone. Understand the habit loop, then shape the 4 steps in your favor. When the cues are clear, the habit is attractive, the action is easy, and the reward is satisfying. The habit stops being a battle and becomes automatic. In the next part, James Clear shifts from building habits in theory to making them work in real life. His big message is simple. Willpower is overrated. Environment is the real game. If your surroundings constantly push you toward distraction, junk food, or procrastination, you will lose sooner or later, no matter how motivated you feel. The smarter approach is to design your environment so the right behavior becomes the easiest behavior. He explains that most of what you do each day is a response to what you see, what is close to you, and what is convenient. Your brain notices what is visible. It repeats what is easy. That means your environment is quietly shaping your choices all the time. If your phone is on the table, the cue is always there. If snacks are within reach, eating becomes automatic. If the book you want to read is hidden in a drawer, reading becomes unlikely. So instead of fighting temptation every hour, you change what you are exposed to. A practical rule is to make the cues of good habits obvious and unavoidable. If you want to drink more water, keep a filled bottle on your desk. If you want to read, place the book on your pillow or next to your coffee mug. If you want to practice a skill, keep the tool ready and visible. These small placements matter because the cue is the first step in the habit loop. When the cue is constantly in your line of sight, the habit starts more naturally. Clear also recommends assigning habits to specific locations. Your brain links behaviors to places. If you work in bed, your bed becomes a place for scrolling, stress, and late-night thinking. If you eat while watching videos, your couch becomes a cue for snacking. The solution is to create a clear relationship between space and action. One space for sleep, one space for work, one space for training, one small corner for reading. When the environment has a clear purpose, the habit becomes easier to start and maintain. Another key idea is to reduce friction for good habits and increase friction for bad habits. Friction means the number of steps between you and the behavior. Bad habits often win because they are frictionless. One tap, one swipe, instant reward. Good habits often lose because they require setup, effort, and planning. So you flip the situation. To reduce friction for good habits, you prepare in advance. You lay out workout clothes the night before. You pack your bag. You open the document you need to write. You set your guitar on a stand instead of leaving it in a case. You prep healthy food so it is as easy as grabbing chips. The goal is to make the good choice the convenient choice. To increase friction for bad habits, you add barriers. Put your phone in another room during deep work. Turn off notifications. Log out of distracting apps. Use website blockers during work hours. Do not keep junk food at home. If you have to walk, wait, or go through multiple steps, the craving often fades and the habit loop breaks. You do not need perfect self-control. You need smart obstacles. Clear then introduces a powerful idea called the 2-minute rule. The hardest part of any habit is starting. Once you start, continuing is easier. So when you build a new habit, you should scale it down to a version that takes 2 minutes or less. Not because 2 minutes is the final goal, but because it trains the identity of showing up. Read every night becomes open the book. Exercise daily becomes put on workout clothes. Meditate becomes sit down and breathe once. Clean the house becomes put one item away. Write becomes write one sentence. This sounds small, but it solves the real problem: inconsistency. A tiny habit you do every day builds momentum. Once the habit of starting is locked in, you naturally expand the behavior. He also talks about breaking bad habits by reversing the system, not by attacking yourself. A bad habit often exists because it is meeting a need: relief from stress, escape from boredom, comfort from anxiety, or quick pleasure. If you only try to delete the habit, you leave a gap. Your brain will fill that gap with something else. So you identify the reward you are seeking and replace the response with a better option. If you scroll to escape stress, replace it with a short walk, a breathing routine, a quick stretch, or journaling for 2 minutes. If you snack to fight boredom, replace it with a glass of water, a healthier snack that is already prepared, or a short task that resets your mind. The key is to keep the reward similar but make the behavior healthier. Another strategy is commitment devices, making future bad choices harder. You make decisions when you are strong so that when you are weak, the system protects you. You schedule workouts with a friend. You prepay for a course. You set up automatic savings. You remove temptations from your house. You create consequences for breaking your plan, like accountability with someone who will check on you. The point is not punishment. The point is structure. The deeper lesson of this part is that your habits are not mainly about your character. They are mainly about your context. Change the context and the behavior changes. You stop fighting yourself and start building a world where the right actions happen naturally. That is how discipline becomes easier. Not by forcing yourself every day, but by designing your life so good habits are the default. In the final part of Atomic Habits, James Clear focuses on what most people struggle with the most: staying consistent over the long run. Starting is exciting. Progress in the beginning feels motivating. But real change happens in the ordinary days when the habit feels boring, the results feel slow, and life gets messy. This section is about building habits that survive real life, not just your best mood. One of the first tools he recommends is habit tracking, because progress becomes easier to maintain when it is visible. A simple checkmark on a calendar can feel small, but it does something powerful in your brain. It creates a clear signal that you are moving forward. It gives you a tiny, immediate reward. It also builds a streak, and once a streak exists, you feel resistance to breaking it. Tracking turns your habit from an abstract goal into something you can see. At the same time, he warns you not to worship the tracker. The goal is not a perfect chart. The goal is to become the type of person who shows up consistently. A tracker is a tool, not your identity. Then he gives one of the most useful rules in the whole book: never miss twice. Missing one day is normal. Travel happens. Sickness happens. Stress happens. The real danger is the second miss, because that is when a slip turns into a new pattern. If you miss a workout, the next day you do something small. If you skip reading, the next day you read one page. Even if it is the minimum version, you protect the identity of being consistent. This rule removes the all-or-nothing mindset that destroys so many people. Many quit because they think, "I ruined it, so what is the point now?" Clear reframes it: you are not defined by one bad decision. You are defined by your ability to return to the system. He also talks about the hidden enemy of long-term success: boredom. Anyone can work hard when motivation is high. The people who win are the people who can keep going when it is not exciting. Professionals stick to the schedule. Amateurs only show up when they feel like it. If you want lasting change, you must expect boredom and plan for it. The goal is not to feel inspired every day. The goal is to follow the system even on dull days. This is where identity becomes the anchor again. When you act based on identity, you do not negotiate with yourself as much. You do not ask, "Do I feel like it?" You ask, "What would a disciplined person do today?" And then you do the smallest version that keeps the habit alive. Clear also points out a subtle trap. Success can make you careless. When things go well, people relax their standards, they stop paying attention, and old habits slowly return. He emphasizes that habits require maintenance. Just like brushing your teeth is not something you do once, a good habit is not something you build once and forget. It becomes a lifestyle that you protect. Another important idea in this final section is to review and refine your system. Habits should serve you. If your routine becomes stale, you adjust it. You raise the challenge slightly, or you change the method while keeping the identity. The goal is continuous improvement, not rigid perfection. You keep the habit aligned with the person you want to be and the life you want to build. He highlights that results come from systems, and systems come from daily actions. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That is why the best strategy is to make your system simple, realistic, and repeatable. If your habit plan only works on perfect days, it will not last. The habits that last are the ones that can survive bad days. The final message is calm but powerful. Your habits are not just tasks. They are the pathway to your identity and your future. Every small action is a vote. You do not need to be flawless. You need to keep voting in the right direction. When you focus on showing up, designing a supportive environment, and returning quickly after setbacks, you build change that is not temporary. It is permanent. See you in the next one. Until then, keep building those tiny habits. If you enjoyed this summary, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next audiobook summary. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.